Dumb sparrow got world while I breathe. I hope dumb sparrow got world.
You can listen to a more lively version of this audio essay at dumbsparrow.world. Winter Solstice Seasonal Greetings. The winter solstice, by astronomical definition, occurs when Earth's northern hemisphere is at its farmost distance from the sun, which as a causal effect means the temperatures get lower and the light the northern hemisphere receives from the sun, which shines directly over the Tropic of Capricorn, is at its most diminished, or, to put it another way, the sunlight daylight hours during the day of the winter solstice in the world's northern hemisphere are at their shortest. Dictionary. Solstice. Biannual time of the year when the sun during summer or winter is at its highest or lowest point in the sky round about June the 21st and December the 21st. Dictionary. Equator. An artificial geographical line exactly halfway from the North and South Pole in equal distance. Dictionary. Tropic of Cancer. An artificial geographical line around the Earth at approximately 23 degrees north of the equator. Dictionary. Tropic of Capricorn. An artificial geographical line around the Earth at approximately 23 degrees south of the equator. Dictionary. Hemisphere. One of two equal halves of the Earth, from the equator to the North Pole and from the equator to the South Pole. The significance of the shortest day of the year. In bygone times, the shortest day of the year was met with dread and disdain. It represented a primeval fear that the light would be overcome by the darkness, perhaps even until there would be no light left. However, after observers discovered that the shortest day of the year did not herald the end of the light, and indeed the light would invariably increase, and thus so too the daylight hours, the winter solstice became a day and night that was celebrated. Such ancient worldly celebrations associated with the solstice at winter time included the very interesting ancient Scandinavian Yule solstice celebrations that included feasting, merriment, and probably drunkenness, which was accompanied by burning thick logs set in a continual line, lit from one end, which started on the day of the December winter solstice and carried on throughout January, or until each and every last log and ember had burned out. For the indigenous American New Mexico tribe called the Zuni, the winter solstice marks the start of the new year, which is observed with prayer, fasting, sun watching, so the exact time of the solstice is known, and shortly thereafter dancing to celebrate the start of a new year. In Iran, on the 21st of December, the ancient annual Persian festival called Yaldo is observed. In fact, so old is this festival that it goes way back to the Zoroastrian period, which predates the emergence of Islam. Yaldo is held to celebrate fresh new winter beginnings, the superiority of the light over the darkness, and the inevitable ensuing waxing of the sun. To honor this natural phenomenon, there is much eating of good food, dancing around open fires, reading of Hafiz poetry, the giving of gifts, and prayers in gratitude for the blessings of the last solar year. The longest night of the year. When it's the shortest day of the year, by default, it means that the nighttime hours to follow will be the most drawn out and the longest. Our distant ancestors often feared the darkness, and understandably so, because they would have been far more susceptible and vulnerable to wild animals. Even now, when humankind is at its most advanced, our primeval tendencies continue to instill in us a wariness of the dark and nighttime, and so thus the winter solstice is the natural epitome of the human aversion to the possible peril of the night and the wee hours, and so peculiarly winter solstice celebrations tend to be more about the return of the light and the beginning of a new solar year than the night temporarily encompassing the greater part of a 24-hour time period, and the beauty of the nocturnal world of the stars, moon, and natural habitat. The winter solstice sun god. Sol Invictus was the ancient god and official deity of the Roman Empire. He is depicted on the face of ancient Roman coins, and his image features on Roman mosaics too. Sol Invictus is also known as the god of the unconquered sun. Roman folklore has it that he drove a chariot drawn by 4 horses in full throttle and would race his chariot across the sky every day, starting at sunrise right through to sunset. Legend tells that Sol Invictus died on the 21st of December, and 3 days later arose from the dead, thus conquering the night-time, the darkness, and death. Hence, the Sol Invictus festival was celebrated on the 25th of December, but this date was obviously connected to the date of the winter solstice on the 21st of December, or thereabouts, as opposed to the Sol Invictus celebrations being associated with Christmas Day. Indeed, historians are likely to agree that Christmas Day, in its very humble beginnings as a notable Christian celebration, was first connected with the Sol Invictus festivities than the other way around, or in a chicken and egg kind of way. Sol Invictus was celebrated on the 25th of December, long before Christmas Day was. The winter solstice and Stonehenge. The place most commonly associated with the winter solstice is almost certainly Stonehenge, near Amesbury, in the county of Wiltshire, in the UK. This World Heritage Site has become a place of pilgrimage on the days of the winter and summer solstices for Druids, pagans, Wiccans, and others who practice spirituality. Indeed, Stonehenge as a place of interest on any day of the year, including the solstices, attracts peoples of all cultures, belief systems and non-belief systems, including hippies, bikers, astronomers, astrologers, clubbers, anarchists, agnostics, and atheists, are all equally drawn to Stonehenge as anyone else. Stonehenge imbues a raw, mysterious, primeval energy which transcends the pettiness of religious persuasion. The giant sandstone sarsen rocks make up the outer stone circle, and the smaller but no less magnificent bluestone rocks stand like obedient sentinels within the sarsen stone circle. Both these types of rock from which Stonehenge is composed accept all who traverse the sacred ground upon which these rocks themselves proudly stand, on the flat green and pleasant wide open space of Salisbury Plain. Only the stones themselves know how they came to be where they are today. Perhaps the smaller bluestones were transported 140 miles away from the Preseli Hills in Pembrokeshire, Wales, and it could be that the larger ones were sourced from a much shorter distance near to the Stonehenge site itself. Only the stones themselves know. What's more apparent is that Stonehenge is some sort of ancient site of worship which also doubled up as a Neolithic observatory and natural calendar. The stones are precisely placed so the tallest stone is aligned at an intentional angle to correspond with and point to the rising sun on the day of the winter solstice, which is on or around the 21st of December, while on the evening of the winter solstice the sun sets exactly in between the two upright stones of the great trilithon. The stone circle of Stonehenge is aligned to coincide exactly with the rising sun on the day of the summer solstice, and when an observer stands within the stone circle while facing northeast, the sun can be seen at sunrise exactly above the heel stone, which stands outside of the great stone circle at Stonehenge. Dictionary. Trilithon. A large horizontal stone sitting on top of two large vertical stones. Dictionary. Neolithic. When stone tools were used in the latter parts of the prehistoric Stone Age era. It's the beautiful, illuminating occurrence of the winter sun setting between the upright stones of the great trilithon which draws many people to Stonehenge on the 21st or 22nd of December each year. The colossal stones are beacons on an open landscape, which guide travellers both near and far, like moths to a flame, to pay homage to our nearest, dearest star in the midwinter skies, just as the Druids and pagans of the Neolithic era once did. The warmest winter solstice seasonal greetings to you. So, amidst the winter festivities that annually fall round about the last 10 days of December in much of the Western world, the winter solstice in the Northern Hemisphere is the one natural event which, despite being eclipsed by its more famous offshoot on December the 25th, will always be of special significance, for it is a part of Mother Nature's calendar. The day of the winter solstice is the shortest and the nighttime hours are the longest, and thus is a time where we become especially aware of the interplay between the darkness and the light, the daytime and the night. Chestnuts roasting on an open fire needn't be saved for the 25th of December. You can get outside and enjoy the winter elements and the flickering flames of a winter solstice fire and watch the setting of the sun, with the promise of the dark evening and long, long night to follow, and nature's covenant that the daytime will come back round again, and when it does, the daylight hours will gradually be on the increase until the next solstice. Quote by Gary Zukov. The winter solstice has always been special to me, as a barren darkness that gives birth to a verdant future beyond imagination, a time of pain and withdrawal that produces something joyfully inconceivable, like a monarch butterfly masterfully extracting itself from the confines of its cocoon, bursting forth into unexpected glory.